Mr. Chiu, do you have a minute to chat? Our N report, they put that on screen. They said that Chinese government media was amplifying these narratives. Mr. Johnson had said that there wasn't any link with the Chinese government. Do you feel that there's a contradiction or that there should have been more knowledge in the Johnson report?
Well, like many Canadians, I'm confused. I was shocked to see what's been reported and what I was provided access to. And I was disappointed that all along the Government of Canada, through all these agencies, have access and realize what is happening covertly. And unfortunately, I've never had a chance to even talk to Mr. Johnson. When he's drafted the report, he never contacted me, even a phone call. So I don't know where he gets his conclusion and how does that come to the point. But I am as confused as many Canadians are.
Now that you've seen some of more of the documents that are coming out from this inquiry, how do you feel right now?
As I have expressed at the end of the council questioning, I feel betrayed because when I jumped into public office, I know it's difficult, it's taxing on my family, it's going to be a huge challenge for myself, and given my view on democracy and human dignity and human rights, and the fact that I'm not willing to compromise, it would be difficult vis-a-vis China policy. But I thought I would have the back by my government, and especially the Prime Minister. Soon after the election, he mentioned all these organizations, the Panel of Five, and Site Task Force, and CIRA, NCCOP, and all these. It gives me the impression that I would be protected, and that is why, even though I observe all these irregularities and interference signs, as time moves on, I become a little bit jaded or confused because the government has not admitted or taken any action until non-government agencies start looking into the matter. The McGill University data miner had come up with a report, this InfoWatch, the Atlantic Council Digital Forensic Lab, etc., etc., etc. One after another, they start, publishing report on Stephen Richmond particularly. I started, having a little bit more confidence and faith that I wasn't hallucinating, and then the whistleblower, the CSIS whistleblower, and what led to the public inquiry had now, I hope, proven to people that I was not a Donald Trump like MP Jennifer O'Connor had accused me of, that things are actually happening, and it would be smart for Canada to do something different to protect ourselves.
Mr. Chiu, last week Mr. Tody told this inquiry that he finds the Conservative Party no longer criticizes the Chinese government the way it used to. Do you think there is a link between that and what happened to you and Mr. Eric Chiu?
I did not observe that as much as what Mr. Tody had. What I have observed, though, is the Conservative Party had adopted a more nuanced way of raising issues. You would notice that they start using CCP more often, Beijing more direct, and avoid referencing China, just so that our opponents would not be able to conflate Chinese China to the race, to the state. What I have not had a chance to share my thought yet is that Chinese communists are famous in falsely equating the party to the state to the race. So soon when you start criticizing what the CCP are doing in Canada, you will start getting people asking, why are you hating Chinese? And so from my perspective, that's actually a very smart move for the Conservative to be specific and targeted in the regime that governs over China, but not China itself.
You mentioned before, I'm sorry this was asked already, you mentioned right at the end there that had you known all of this, you wouldn't have run.
I may not have
You
run.
may not have run. What about again? Would you run again?
Tell me when the next election is, and tell me by then what would have changed, and perhaps I will be more in a better position to answer you that question. I don't know when the next election is. We don't know what the government would have put in place to safeguard candidates such as myself. So that's, so I don't know.
That it would be dependent on that. That decision would be dependent on them putting more in place.
No, not necessarily. It will be a significant decision that my family and I will have to make. Perhaps, for example, we have decided that it's still worth the risk, that even though that we are not sufficiently protected, that we will do it again. I'm just not in the position to answer that.
Just that I understand correctly, you were asked what you had learned today at the inquiry, and my understanding is that a lot of what was said are things that you already knew, but what we've learned is that Ottawa knew them too, that this was being reported on, that this is being gathered.
Yeah, that is correct. All along, the RRM, Panel of Five, Site Task Force, all these have been paying attention to, and yet, from my perspective, the government are not taking any action, not even when the Conservative Party of Canada had contacted Site Task Force, and they still have not taken action. Maybe the threshold is too high, or maybe there are other more nefarious reasons. I cannot prevent from asking myself, if I were a Liberal member of Parliament, would the situation have been different? And given, as I have testified, that the Prime Minister, the Liberal Party members have continuing using hiding behind, from my perspective, racism, anti-China, anti-Asian as excuse from answering legitimate questions, I cannot avoid to be a little bit more partisan than I should have been.
And just to clarify one thing, you mentioned when you were talking about how you felt like you were drowning and they were standing by and watching and you didn't want a warning, but you wanted some help. When was that warning given to you? Was that before the election?
There was no warning. There was no warning. I'm saying even if the Site Task Force has deemed the threshold it's met, all it will do, from my understanding, is triggering a notification.
So you're saying you didn't get any warning?
That would have been akin to telling somebody who's drowning, hey, you're drowning. And that's just not only that it's unfair, but it's also very dangerous. Just like Mr. O'Toole said, even one riding, even one vote is being interfered by a foreign regime. That would not be good for Canada's democracy.
At what time do you decide to join this hearing? You seem very traumatized by the whole process, right? Is that interfering you to decide?
I've been summoned. I have made the conscious choice not to join it proactively. I did not have the confidence that it will bring about the positive changes that I would like to see. And it's counterintuitive for me to expose myself further, given the situation that I am already in. So I did not apply, but the Judge Hogue had decided to summon me. So I have no other choice but to appear.
And if I just, on the topic we went into, was covered a lot yesterday, and O'Toole kind of mentioned that the focus was more on whether or not the foreign interference had changed the overall outcome. But we also saw that there's a lot of this interference is happening at the nomination process level, and if those are safe ridings, doesn't change the other, but do you think that there needs to be more scrutiny or oversight in how those are run, or to at least ensure that the people voting in them are at least permanent residents?
That would be a debate that Canadians, would like to engage ourselves in. I've been involved long enough when we Conservative debated whether to open up our membership base to allow non-citizen London immigrant to join the party, and because we want to welcome prospective future Canadians to get involved. And yes, it could potentially open up for foreign special interest powers to meddle with our business. But again, this is something that Canadians will have to decide where the balance is. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.